for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Patrick Johnson Show. We are up and running, ready to launch on this Tuesday. Primary election Tuesday in the state of North Carolina, so go vote. Polls will be open to 7:30. Fresh edition for you here today as we get ready for a little calm before the Pirate Week starts back up. Game tomorrow at Wilmington. I'll be out tomorrow on assignment, and Pilk will be hosting with Dom Kasolki tomorrow as Philip and Dom will get you ready for ECU taking on UNCW down in Wilmington for baseball. And then, of course, Thursday we'll have our show, 5 o'clock until 6:30, 90-minute supersized edition, as we'll get you ready for East Carolina basketball, the final home game against Tulsa. John Gilbert will be our special guest, and he will join us right at 5 o'clock from the Hall of Fame area in Greenville. So that is the layout for the next couple of days. Brett Friedlander is with us today, and we're going to talk to him in just a little bit. College basketball, we're running down the stretch here. All right, let's welcome back Philip Pilkington. Pilk was out of town yesterday. He went to watch some Tobacco Road hoops, which we'll cover in the top 5 at 5, I'm sure. It was a busy weekend for Pilk, too, and as it was for ECU Athletics, just a wild time. Fun time of the year. Always something going on, it seems. By the way, a little breaking news. Not really breaking news, but a big headline out of last night. Apparently Farmville Central, who was eyeing a rematch with Kinston in boys basketball, and, you know, they've moved the regionals back to ECU for the next 4 days, starting tomorrow. There will be regional final basketball for the right to play for the state championship in Winston-Salem next week. Those regional games will be played. Interestingly enough, 2 Wilmington teams are meeting in the 8A in the East. So these 2 Wilmington teams are coming up to Greenville. They just want to play it there in Trask. And then 2 Fayetteville girls teams are playing. 71st and Terry Sanford. Terry Sanford with a great history in the state of girls basketball. So they just ought to play that at Fayetteville State or the arena down there in Fayetteville. Why make these teams travel from the same county to play each other, Bill? Just
look, I'm all for playing in big venues. I mean, I don't think these little high school gyms should be hosting these games. But yeah, I'm with you. That's my point. Yeah, I'm okay with Trask or with Fayetteville State. Like, as long as they're college venues or, you know, event centers that are big enough. For example, you know, there's one in Cabarrus County where we've had some playoff games where they've got like an arena. They used to have an arena football team there. It's not, you know, it's not technically a basketball gym, but it seats like one. So,
but I mean, it's a multi-purpose thing that you can convert. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have the word that I got, you know, Kinston's going to be there. They'll play Saturday, I believe. I'm not sure what time. I think maybe Saturday night or Friday night, one of the two. Washington made it. I know they're playing at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon at Minji's. So that's just some local teams that are making it. Washington's got a good team. I like their coach. He's a good guy. So Washington back to the regional finals for the first time in quite a while, I believe. So that's what's happening. And, you know, I would just say take heed of that if you're going to be around the University Terry Holland Athletics campus. I'll be there for softball Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It never stops. All right, let's anything else to add, Pilk? I know we got a lot of good stuff on the top 5, so I guess we could jump into that. But anything – well, I'll ask you about your trip when we get into the top 5 here. So let's do it right now. Yep.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's
impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Alrighty, number one, starting in Pirate Athletics. Last night on Inside Pirate Athletics, Coach Kim McNeil talked about how her team will balance this week. They've got the very late bye. They'll wrap up the regular season against Tulsa conference tournament, obviously, next week. But how to balance being fresh for the tournament as well as staying in game mode.
Yeah, I mean, it can be tricky. I mean, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it, okay, we don't need to win 5 games to make it to the NCAA tournament. But, you know, the teams in front of us will get a slight advantage by actually playing on the court, playing on the rims, and, you know, getting some game minutes underneath them, you know, where we're coming, you know, off of practice. You know, we got to be smart with practice. We don't want to kill ourselves, but we got to get up and down and play some format of game type stuff, maybe some 3 or 4 minute scrimmages so we keep, you know, in game pace and keep in game rhythm.
I learned yesterday that Anjanae Hutton apparently was suffering from an asthma attack and was in the emergency room in the wee hours of the morning before their win against Charlotte. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
She came out and played. Yeah. So that happened last night. Coach Kim talked about that. I think what East Carolina has done this year with in the face of 10 new players, losing your highest recruit ever. And you look, Mai Joyner's arguably on the top team in the country right now. So, I mean, that tells you of her skill level.
Yeah.
Mai Joyner, a real problem here, though, I'll just say it frankly, with and I mean, not like sinister, you know, illegal behavior, but just a bad attitude, an immature behavior at times. And I think it was really, really tough, despite all of her talents, to deal with that. It was a heck of a balancing act. This group seems much more cohesive than any of the locker rooms.
Yeah.
Of recent mode in Pirate Nation for women's basketball. And I think that's part of the reason they're having success. They have multiple players that can score in double figures legitimately. They don't do every night, but I mean, you have options offensively. Defensively, they're doing more than enough. They have good athletes. They defend the perimeter. So I do think that there is some probably, because this is an open week too for them. They don't have a midweek game.
Yeah.
Their only game against Tulsa. So you only have one game really in about a 2-week span before you start the tournament. There's a double side to that, Bill. You can obviously rest your legs. People are all banged up this time of year, so a chance to heal some of those bumps and bruises, as they're called. But then you've got to be ready to go against a team that will have played at least one game, maybe more than one game when you face them. And so they'll be, nice and loose and have worked a good sweat. And she makes a great point. They'll be familiar with the confines of the court. But I do think it's an advantage for both East Carolina and Rice. And I do believe we're going to see East Carolina and Rice in the rematch for the conference tournament championship on the 14th.
No, I agree with you, Patrick. I think, this bye is a little later than you'd want it to be, considering you have locked up one of those top 2 seeds. I think if you were one of the teams sitting there in 6th or 7th in the conference, somewhere in that, you'd like this late bye. I almost wish they maybe would have had the bye this past weekend. They had that time to kind of rest up and then still maybe had 2 games going into the tournament, just solely because you are going to sit around for 3 or 4 days while other teams are playing. And, if you come out a little rusty, you can get behind the 8 ball, and, it's tough, and it is a gym you haven't seen. And so there's a lot of sides to this. And, I was talking about it with Grady last night, just how important it is that our team, even the men's team, even when they play somewhere like Wilmington, they go in the night before, they shoot in the gym, they get used to the depth perception of every single arena. Because we were talking about it last night with the difference in, shooting a 3 in Cameron and shooting a 3 in a hockey arena. Like, there is a big difference. Right. So, it's one of those things. Hopefully they'll get some on the court time, but there's a lot of games going on. I don't know how much court time they're going to get in the lead up.
Well, I think they do have shoot-around times, in the morning before things get started in these tournaments. And certainly they will for teams that will have had a bye and are going to be playing their first game because they got to let them at least get out on the
court. Well, I guess the day before, I guess there's only going to be 2 games as well with the way the tournament works. So there's plenty of time.
They do all that in the morning. Yeah, they do that in the morning, or if it ends early enough, they'll do it at night, depending on when the teams get in. I mean, just depends. I think this is a fascinating schedule, and I think is it the Sun Belt that's doing the one where as you finish, it dictates your buys, and the top 2 are getting the double bye. In a sense, I think it is the Sun Belt because Marshall, by virtue of that, somehow has the second bye despite a bunch of teams tied with the same record.
My goodness. So. They've got, 6 teams tied for second place.
Right, and Marshall has won their convoluted tiebreaker as of now. So, but that bracket, if you see that bracket, it is wild. I think that's the thing to do if you're one of these so-called mid-majors or low majors. Is do a bracket like this. Everybody used to clown on the West Coast Conference, but they were clearly trying to get in a position where Gonzaga would not get left out. And I think it would have been comical to say Gonzaga would have got left out, but they usually would win it. But it also gave the best chance for Gonzaga and in some years St. Mary's to both get to the tournament. And so that enhances your opportunity to get a team into the or multiple teams into the postseason, believe it or not. So
no, it's a good point. Remember that one year, 2018, St. Mary's lost in the semifinals, and they did not lose to Gonzaga. They were the first team left out. And a lot of people believe had they won one more game and then lost to Gonzaga, the committee would have, given them that right. And to your point, Patrick, they only had to play the semifinals and the championship, and that was the West Coast's way of protecting them. Had they had to play 3 or 4 games, there's a much better chance they lose shy of the championship game.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Nice crowd last night there at Tiebreakers, and Coach Kim and her players. We had 4 players on last night, which I think is a record for inside Pirate.
What did you guys get?
We got Savannah Brooks, we got Kiana Rimbert, we got Jayla Herp, and we got Anjanae Hutton.
Nice.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah.
Number 2.
I know we're going to be back there next week, Pilk, by the way.
Oh, we are?
There's this. That's what I'm told, and I'm told we could have another show after that.
Okay. Well, you and I, we got to figure out some logistics. We got a lot of people on spring break next week. Just a heads up.
If we have to do the show as a pre-tape earlier in the day, so be it.
All righty. Going on, you know what? Because we didn't originally come up with 5, we came up with 4. We're going to have a little fun making fun of conference tournament brackets. Have you seen, PJ, the Horizon Tournament? It started last night. March Madness is officially here.
All right.
They have the weirdest tournament bracket I have ever seen. Number 10 and number 11 had a play-in game. Cleveland State beats IU Indianapolis to a 10-team bracket.
Okay.
Then, in the 10-team bracket, everybody plays.
Yep.
5 winners. They then reseed. Yeah, they then reseed their top 5. 4 and 5 play in another play-in game to play 1, and 2 and 3 play in the other semifinal. Yeah, this is whack.
Yeah, this isn't good.
I mean, this looks like something a kid, like a 4-year-old, drew up.
This looks like a rec league thing. So the number 1 seed is, and this is what they're saying. The number 1 seed is extra protected.
No, they're not.
And that's what they're saying. The number 1 seed, in this case, Wright State, is extra protected, guaranteed to play the lowest seed in each round until the final. So this allows, if there are upsets, this guarantees. So in other words, on the other side of the bracket, if, I guess, the 7 seed wins, and you theoretically wouldn't play the number 1 seed to the finals, this gives them a chance to play that lowest seed if they're still the seed that's alive, instead of playing the 4. For example.
I don't have a problem with reseeding. The weird thing is you've got 10, and then you reseed into a 5-team tournament. Like, you already have one play-in game for the 10-11, and then you've got another play. Then everybody plays one game, and then you've got another play-in game to the next little bracket. Like, it just why do we have all these weird play? Like, you have 2 separate play-in games that are their own individual round.
Let's say Uwe Pui, the artist formerly known as Uwe Pui, beat Wright State.
Yeah.
Then you would reseed with, theoretically, Bobby Moe, Robert Morris, if they were to advance.
They're the 2,
So that's kind of how I guess this is, to ensure that whatever the highest seed remaining is has the best chance to get to the final.
And I can get behind that. My thing is just like the double play-in thing.
Oh, I'll bet the
weird.
Coaches are not happy about this. I can't believe these coaches are going for this, but
the 4 and the 5 then have to do another play into the semi. Like, that's just whack. Find a way to get it down to 8, and then once you get it to 8 teams, you got 11. Just have play-ins to get to 8 to the quarterfinals, and then you can do your reseed. I have no problem protecting the number 1, and from the quarterfinals to the semi to they get the worst seed. I have no problem with that. But this is just, like I said, it looks like a 4-year-old drew it up.
It's putting the madness in March Madness.
It is. 3. Alrighty, number 3. Last night, Duke continues to roll, locks up the regular season ACC championship with a win at the Wolf Puppies.
Not going to tell tales outside of school because it's not my story to tell and put your business in the streets. But someone from this show was in the variety. What do they call it there? It's not. It's the Lenovo arena.
Yeah,
Lenovo laptop arena, whatever it is. One of the two of us were there last night, and I hosted Inside Pirate Athletics and then went to sleep. So we'll let you deduce it from there. But my point is, I saw it was like 18-18, 18-17. I got in the car, got up the road, had a couple calls to return, and then then I flipped on 103.7, who aired the game, our sister station, and it was 47-30 at halftime.
Yeah.
So, look, Duke's playing outstanding right now. Can they continue to do it? That is the question. But as of right now, I would say they and Michigan and Arizona would, to me, seem like the 3 teams that have the best shot to get to Indianapolis in the Final Four.
Yeah, I think those are the big 3 right now. I mean, UConn, Houston, Iowa State, Michigan State are kind of that next tier. You're not going to be surprised if any of those teams make it, but maybe they're not quite as much of a favorite as the 3 you just mentioned. And look, man, Duke, though, they've proven I think they've realized that Cameron Boozer is the only true scorer on the roster, and they're going to have to do it with defense. And it's something they've done over the last couple of weeks, has really been very good defensively. They were great defensively again last night. That's why it was 47-30 at halftime. Yes, they shot the 3-ball decent down the stretch in the first half. Dame Sarr had 14 points in the first half. Last time he scored 14 was against Army back the second week of November, and he had that at halftime. But, again, forcing a lot of live ball turnovers, forcing a lot of late shot clock rushed shot attempts inside 2 seconds left by NC State was the reason that Duke won that game in such dominating fashion, and that's going to have to be the formula moving forward because if Cam Boozer gets in foul trouble or has a bad game, you're not going to win if you're Duke, if you don't just play, you know what, to the wall defense.
The fact that Shire has been able to get them to buy in defensively, especially in this age of Duke still gets one-and-done guys, there's portal activity. I mean, to be able to take the time of we're microwaving everything and to get them to be as committed as they've been on the defensive end, I think is a credit to the culture, but also to the credit of what Shire and his staff teach and what they hold the opponent to, or the standard they hold the players to, is what I meant to say. As for the opponent, NC State, there is big trouble right now in Wolfpack Nation, and they're out of the double bye situation, or I think any bye situation. I think we'll find out from Friedlander.
No, I don't think they're in that, because the first 5, the bottom 6 teams play the first day.
So they're not in the situation where they're going to get
a
top 4 seed, I don't think.
No, they're not a top 4, but they're not like the bottom whatever either, where they play the
No, I mean they're not dropping out of this thing or dropping to the very bottom. They'll maybe get a day and then have
it looks like it.
They were still kind of in the conversation for the double bye.
They were going into last night. They've been knocked out of that. Now they can't catch Clemson or Carolina.
Right. And so that's a big game tonight too. We'll talk to Friedlander about that, Carolina and Clemson, because that also will determine who ends up with a double bye more than likely.
Yeah.
Between those two, but I think NC State has real problems right now. I think NC State is in danger of getting a less than desirable seed in the tournament. I still think they're going to get in. They've done enough to get in. Should have done enough to get in. But, boy, you don't want to be going in the direction they're going right now when you get to this time of the year because that is problematic.
Yep. Playing their worst basketball right now for sure.
No, they really are. They really are.
4.
Number 4, the Big 12 has announced that their court will be a glass court that has lights under it that can change the way the court, LED lights that can change the way the court looks. It can look like any of the 18 institutions' home court. It can also show a shot chart like at halftime if they want to show up the leading score, where his makes and misses come from. They have also said some of their in-game media timeout promotions in which they will bring fans down to play certain games. I don't know if it would be like a match-em game like what ECU used to do or what it is, but they will be able to, instead of bringing out physical things, be able to make the court be some of these interactive games.
Social media has had a field day with this. What happens if the feed drops or whatever's powering this drive?
Yeah.
Because then you don't have – I'm sure underneath they have the basics of the court.
I'm guessing
if
they do.
If something goes wrong, you've got to be able to have the lane and the free throw line and the three-point line and midcourt.
Yeah.
If you don't, this is very gutsy. As long as they don't illuminate it with some bizarre color that makes it hard to watch.
Yeah, we can't make it look like Oregon's normal court or something stupid.
It can't be like you're looking into the sun.
Yeah.
That would not be. By the way, all 18 teams are going to their tournament?
Oh, I don't know if all 18. Probably not. They're probably only taking 14 or 16, but they just said it can look like. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah. See what's going on. How many? Because that's the way to do it. Let everybody go. The conference tournament is a celebration of the season. Everybody should be invited. So I think. What do I know?
I think in these big conferences, I believe that they should. Some of these other conferences, I do understand that
other conferences. What are you talking about?
Like I mean, do you think UTSA would lose money by going to Birmingham? They got to fly. They got to pay for a hotel. The conference tournament doesn't net in the black.
Business.
Yeah, true. Big 12 tournament. We played from. Oh crap! This is the 2025. I want the 2026 rules. AI says 8 teams. Yeah, which is not true. Let's see.
Them days are over.
Yeah.
Days are done.
Looks like 14 teams get in.
Oh, so they don't. Okay, at least it's an even number.
Yeah.
It's not some convoluted ACC odd number.
15. Where did they get that? I know there used to be 15 teams in the conference.
That's why, because it used to be 15 teams in the conference.
Now that they're at 18, just go to 16. That's how the Big East did 16 for years. Back in the heyday of the Big East, nobody complained.
SEC does it. SEC invites everybody. 9 played 16, 5 through 8 got a bye, and 1 through 4 got a double bye. Yeah. Yeah. So on and so forth.
Stupid.
So on and so forth. We're done from the days where you'd roll the TV into the classroom on Friday.
I know.
And watch all day. We are done from those days.
We are long gone.
Greensboro. Long gone. Do you like this though? The LED court.
I do. Cool. I think it's cool. I think the shot charts will be really cool. Like I said, I think anything to get the fans more involved during the media timeouts will be great. I just, like you said, better have a backup plan for when crap hits the fan.
5.
Number 5. The World Baseball Classic starts tonight. Taiwan will be taking on Australia. Technically, it starts tomorrow, but it'll be tonight, our time, 10 p.m. on FS1. Also, Team USA has announced their starting rotation. It's going to be Logan Webb, Game 1, going against Brazil. Tariq Skubal will face Great Britain. Livy's boyfriend will face Mexico. And Nolan McLean will start against Italy as long as he feels up to it. He is currently sidelined due to an illness.
Okay. Look, I bet Mark DeRosa was pretty excited to make that particular rotation.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be interesting. We finally kind of get to see Paul Skeens pitch with some support from the lineup potentially.
Yeah, Judge is just a little better than whoever the best player is on the Pirates, and Trout even a little, just a smidge better than even Judge, and so on.
Tiny bit better, yeah. It's something like this, Pilk, is the starting pitching, because when you get to the postseason, starting pitching, we're just really in baseball now, it's more about your depth of pen than it is your starters. I'm still old school, and I love to see a starter go with a deep performance, go long into the game. That's the baseball I grew up with. That's what I kind of understand. So I can still appreciate, and I understand you're not going to extend these guys,
that's the thing,
crazy or anything like that because they play for other teams. But does it really matter then who starts in this?
I don't think so.
See other guys pitch.
Yeah, it's bullpen depth. They've already come out and said Tariq Skubal's on a 55 pitch count for his first start. I mean, these guys are supposed to be in ramp-up time. It's only March the 3rd as we sit here. Obviously they don't play till Friday, but look, that's just – it is what it is. And, yeah, I think the depth of the staff is going to be important because you can't tell a guy to go out there and throw 108 pitches. I mean, you just can't.
Are you excited about it? You like all these weird classics in sports and this sort of thing?
Hey, I get a chance to pull for the greatest country in the world, baby, USA. Hell yeah, I'm excited.
All right, when we come back, our old friend Brett Friedlander, longtime scribe, joins us on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Oh, hey, welcome back.
Oh, look who's back reporting for duty.
You got here just in time.
Holy nuts, man.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back. Big show here this afternoon, and we continue on with our friend Brett Friedlander, longtime ACC basketball scribe. And Brett now writing for Seth Davis's Hoops HQ, and also a contributor now with Straight Up Sports, which is based out of the upstate of South Carolina. But they talk about all kinds of things. Brett covering this, but also covering hoops, covering baseball coming up. So he'll be busy. I knew you couldn't retire, Friedlander. No. I knew you couldn't get out of it all.
I retired.
So the pace is a little more favorable to you there.
Yes. It allows me a little bit more time to putter around with my granddaughter. So
that's the big thing right there. Yeah.
Yep. I can write when I want to now instead of when I have to.
Right. And if you've solved that puzzle, what a world. You get to do what you love, but when you want to do it. So, and the grandkids are life-changing. That's what my parents tell me about my brother and sister's children. It's a big deal with the grandkids.
It is.
Anyway, so let's talk. Start with tonight's game, North Carolina and Clemson. This is a big game, obviously, for the double bye implications. To me, and you probably have a little more of a finger on the pulse of Clemson, this would seem like a really nice resume piece for them. And I can't really recall off the top of my head, with everything else I've had going on, where they are on the seed line. But this seems like this could maybe help Clemson. Would the double bye help them maybe towards a top 4 seed, or is the resume just not that strong?
I don't know. It's bracketology is a non-exact science, and so who knows? But I can tell you this: it is a very big game. Clemson actually, it would have been more of an urgency situation for Clemson had they lost to Louisville on Saturday. But breaking that 4-game losing streak, getting a quality win definitely helped things. I think that they're now back on track. Winning this game would be huge because it's a quad 1 game for both teams. So this is a resume builder for whoever wins it, but it's also probably not going to hurt you if you lose it too. So it's kind of a house money game. But I think it does, I don't know. I think both teams need it badly, the same, because like you said, it could be the difference between being on the 6 seed line or the 4 line. So, and that's going to depend, that's going to change who you play in that first round of the tournament. The good thing, though, is that both teams are pretty solidly in the field, and I don't think they're worried about being on the bubble as another triangle team is suddenly.
We'll get to that in a minute. For North Carolina, the injuries are a factor, obviously, and obviously the most glaring one is to their top player. So I know there's some murmurs. I've been doing this long enough. So have you. He'll play in Durham. I guarantee you. He'll find a way to be. He'll find a way to be on the floor Saturday night. But how effective Caleb Wilson can be, I don't know. So my question is, let's just assume that for whatever reason he can't get back out there. Maybe he gets back out there tonight. I don't know. That's why we're talking to you, Brett. But let's assume that he gets out there. Is there any? Obviously, just his presence would make them better. But is he going to be healthy enough to really do anything and make Carolina kind of a next level team come March?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, it's his hand. So I can't imagine him not being in game shape, because I guarantee you he's still out there running. He's still out there, staying in shape and doing all kinds of drills to maintain that level of stamina. So I don't think it's going to be a basketball shape situation. And listen, he is an elite talent. And he will be a difference maker if he's in the lineup. Now, the question is, how does Carolina adjust to him being back in the lineup? I mean, I go back to when Kyrie Irving was out for a couple of months. He came back for the NCAA tournament, and Duke was totally discombobulated because all the roles that they had established while he was gone now changed, and they had to kind of figure it out. So bringing him back, I think, for the Duke game, yeah, I think that will make a statement. It'll be a great theater, and I can't imagine him not, especially since they're going to downplay, I don't know, and then he's going to show up in uniform, and everybody's going to say, look, it's going to be a Willis Reed situation. But I think that regardless of what kind of impact he makes in that game or in Charlotte, I think that the being integrated back into the lineup will be good for everybody else for a couple of games, so that by the time you get to the first round of the NCAA tournament, they're back to knowing what their roles are and kind of being ready to make that run.
Hoops HQ writer Brett Friedlander with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show this afternoon. For Duke, it seems like they have really righted the ship. There's no let up with them right now. Obviously, Saturday is kind of a different situation with North Carolina, who's already beaten them once this year coming in. But it seems like that Duke has really figured it out. They're going to run everything through Boozer. The other guys seem to be pretty content in this complementary, in some cases, catch and shoot kind of role. They're nonplussed or unplussed, whichever it is, They don't seem to get rattled, which is interesting because if you look at their last three losses, they blew leads. Including the game at Chapel Hill. But what they did against Michigan 2 weeks ago, to me, was the best win of the regular season for anybody. And maybe I'm leaving somebody in the Big 12 out of this. But to me, that was the best win of a team in the regular season, especially in a non-conference game.
Absolutely. I think that this Duke team right now, especially the way it is playing, is better suited. They're more ready to make that run at the national championship than last year's team was, for a couple of reasons. First of all, while they have that superstar that they can go to when they need a basket, basically give him the ball and get out of his way. They had Flag last year and this year Cameron, but they defend. This team defends much better. It's a much more aggressive, much more physical team, I think, and they've got a grit to them that last year's team really didn't. And the other thing, too, is I think that they're better prepared. If you look at last year's team, Shire tried to do the same thing that he's doing this year, last year, but he didn't get lucky. He scheduled a tough non-conference game in late February against Illinois, but circumstance was that Illinois had two top players out. They really weren't the same team, and it wasn't a real challenge. Then they played an NC State team that was basically quit. And a UNC team that wasn't a typical UNC team. And then in the first round of the ACC tournament, Flag gets hurt, and they really kind of went through that with bubble gum and duct tape. And so they really weren't as sharp as they could have been going to the tournament. Well, now this year you schedule that non-conference game against a Big Ten team, and it turns out that Michigan is number one in the nation, and it is a struggle, and it is a fight, and you come through it in flying colors. Then you come home and you play Virginia, which is the number 2 team in the ACC and is a good team, but they just boat raced them too. And now you get a UNC at home where you've kind of got that revenge thing going. So I think that this team going into the postseason is going to be sharper and more on its game than it was last year. And that's pretty promising since last year's team got to the national semifinal.
They'll likely go to Greenville, which is, I think it depends on who else is there. I mean, we remember they went to Greenville a few years ago, and that led to the South Carolina run.
My Gamecocks.
I mean, I think there were a lot of UNC fans there too. Anyway, probably a different deal here, and then Washington D.C. So it seems like they're on a favorable path. I would say Michigan's got a pretty favorable path ahead of them. I don't recall where their first 2 rounds would be played, but it then would go through Chicago, and I think that's kind of. We might be on a collision course for a rematch of that game. Who knows?
Which would be a lot of fun.
Ask you, yeah,
but that's the way the tournament's supposed to set up. That's the advantage of being a number 1 seed. You get that path. You get advantages. So you earned it.
Oh, absolutely. NC State is in a tailspin, and we were talking about it last segment. I think you really maybe hit on it more so. I still think, okay, they're in. At large, they have a better resume than they have had the last 2 years, but all of a sudden that might not mean very much. And I didn't realize the depth of their issues in that they blew this lead against Miami with 67 seconds, 2 or 3 possession. They blew a 9-point lead against Notre Dame and losing to overtime. Yep. Did not look good last night. They've had a bunch of games where they've been blown out here. Has the West, or has the act kind of grown thin there? With the coach, or is it just this team was already not that talented to begin with, and teams that aren't talented do tend to fade down the stretch?
Okay, so let's start with a couple of things because it's NC State. It is not an easy answer. There are a lot of levels to this.
Never is. I
right.
said West, but I meant I meant Will Wade. I was going to call him Wes Miller, but Will Wade is who I meant to say there. It was the Will Wade act
coach, so maybe you were thinking there too.
True.
So.
They'd probably take Westmore right now on the men's side.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's start with the law of the wolf. And the law of the wolf is anytime things start to look like they're really going good, that's when things start to go bad. Okay. And it always turns out that anytime they beat Carolina or Duke, go back and look at the record over the last 20 years. A win over Carolina and Duke is like the be all and end all of existence. And they usually end up losing a couple of games right afterwards, including games that they have no business losing. And this is what has happened here. Doesn't matter the coach, doesn't matter the players. Those games, they put so much emphasis on them. I just think it takes a lot out of them when they win. So there's that. Second of all, this team, the way it is built, it is fundamentally flawed. And I bring you back to last year's North Carolina team. Who was the biggest player on their team? Van Allen Lubin. Who is the biggest player on NC State's team? Van Allen Lubin. They are undersized, and when they play teams that have big front courts, they do not match up well. Virginia is a terrible matchup for them. Duke is an even worse matchup for them because not only are they big in the front court, they're big in the back court as well.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I dismiss those games because they are not built to win those games, okay? The ones that really have me concerned are the Notre Dame game and especially the Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech is a quad 4 loss. That is an absolute eyesore on a postseason resume. That Notre Dame game, I don't know what it was because it was on the road, but I think it's a quad 3 loss, which is almost as bad. Here's the thing. NC State, I think, is still in decent shape. But they better not lose to Stanford on Saturday, because if you lose to Stanford at home on Saturday, that's going to be another quad 3 loss. And if you have those on your resume, you better not hope, or you better hope that everything goes chalk in all the other conferences, because all it's going to take is 1 or 2 bid stealers and a first-round loss in Charlotte, and you are gone. You're playing in the NIT, hosting a game at Reynolds.
Duke, UNC, Virginia, Clemson, Louisville. Solidly in. Who am I leaving out? You got State. We feel like they're in. They've done enough
Virginia.
to get in, but they got to. Yeah, I said Virginia.
Oh, you
I
did?
said Duke, UNC, Virginia, Clemson, Louisville,
Oh.
NC State. Anybody else? Miami.
I think SMU is in pretty good shape, although they were in a
SMU.
lot better shape before last weekend when they went to California and lost twice. But
and then Miami.
and they've got, and of course Miami, who, by the way, my piece in Straight Up Sports on Wednesday is going to be a discussion on who should be the ACC Coach of the Year because common knowledge. I mean, just going on paper, you would say John Shire because he replaced so many great players and had to change the style of the way his team plays. And they're a basket or two away from running the table in the ACC. You know, they're a Seth Trimble 3 away from being undefeated in the ACC. But my goodness, his former assistant Jay Lucas goes down to Miami, which won 7 games all last year, and they're up to 21. They're going to get a double bye in the ACC. That's pretty impressive. And then you look what Ryan Odom has done at Virginia, turning things back around in the right direction there. So, Miami has done a great job. And whether he wins it or not, Jay Lucas has just done a tremendous job. And to be honest with you, I think had Jay Lucas not left for Miami before the season was over last year, before the NCAA tournament, I think Duke beats Houston and has a great shot at winning the national championship against Florida. Because if you look at the last 5 minutes of that game, they weren't scoring, but Houston, which wasn't an offensive juggernaut, was making a lot of progress offensively and doing the same thing over and over again. And Jay Lucas was the defensive coordinator, and I would like to believe that he would have made some adjustments, maybe put Malik Brown in the game instead of Malawak. And maybe done something to halt the momentum. But you got to love what Miami has done. But I think SMU is one of those teams that is on the bubble, but on the good side right now. I think Cal is right there as well. They've got 21 wins. And Virginia Tech, if Virginia Tech beats Virginia on Saturday and wins a couple of games in Charlotte, I think that they're back in the conversation. I think 8 right now is the number. But depending on what happens over the next week, I think you could see 9.
Yeah, ACC is in a lot better shape than it was in recent years for sure. And that's great to see for fans people have been a fan of the league for a long time. Brett, globally here, a lot of talk last weekend from the talking head class, and especially on Turner. I mean, that they're well-intentioned over there, but it's a little bit of a dumpster fire. Trying to hot take their way into relevancy, I guess. But, I look at what the Miami of Ohio case, and I realize the schedule is something like the 300s maybe. And, I mean, that is pretty pitiful. That could be tough to overcome. But at some point, it has to be about wins. And, I mean, if you lose just one, I mean, they deserve, I would think, to have a chance to get in at large if they don't win their conference tournament. That's how I feel about it.
Pat, it's the same discussion we had in football. And, this tournament is wide open enough. There are 68 teams. It's not like we're leaving somebody who has a shot at winning the national championship out. In football, maybe you can argue that. But I don't know that the 8th place team or the 9th place team or even the 10th place team in the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC really is more deserving of being in than a Miami of Ohio or any mid-major that wins 28 games. They go 28-3 and somehow or another lose in the championship game of their conference tournament. And now all of a sudden they're hosting an NIT game. Nah, I think that there are enough spots in this tournament that let's bump out a Virginia Tech or a Mississippi or a Georgia or a Northwestern or somebody like that, because that's what this tournament is supposed to be about. And that's what makes this tournament great, because that Miami of Ohio team is going to be a 12 seed, and they're going to be the team that knocks off a 5 in that first round. And that's what we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Brett Friedlander with us. Hoops HQ with Seth Davis. Also, Straight Up Sports, he'll have a column tomorrow on who should be the ACC Coach of the Year. Brett, it's great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll reconvene at some point, maybe talk some hoops as the tournament's going on and some college baseball later. But great to see you again.
Best time of the year coming up. I appreciate it, Pat.
All right, great to have Brett on. And when we come back, we'll wrap up today's Patrick Johnson Show.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, Pilk, we got a little one final thing here, a little bit of golf news. And I think we're going to get Mull sometime next week, by the way. I think Brian
Good,
Mull's
I've been missing Mull.
Well, we have only 3 shows next week, I think. Yeah. It's only a 3-show week next week. This was our first 5-show week in a coon's age, as they say, out in the country. But
no, I think we ended up with one last week. We didn't think we were going to have it last week, but
right. Well, that's a good point. Yes,
yeah.
We have the audio only for the real deep divers. But I will be out tomorrow with assignment obligations, so Pilk will be in tomorrow. All right, what's going on? John Rahm is popping off.
Yeah, so John Rahm's not happy with the DP World Tour because they are requiring players to commit to 6 events if they're not a full-time player, pretty much saying you can't play a one-off. He was wanting to play a one-off, Patrick. This also will affect the guys who try and go over to Europe and play just one event or maybe 2 events prior to the Open Championship, which is something that especially a lot of the European-born players have done in the past.
Wonder if there are exemptions for those European players. But I mean, Rahm's a European.
Yeah, I wonder if he's a live guy. I wonder if this is really trying to keep guys like him, the live guys, out. Because you would think they would make an exception for those guys again playing in the Open.
They had a working agreement though. I thought they had a working agreement that tour did with Live.
I thought they did too. No, I think you're right. That's the point. I think they claim they've got a working because they're letting their guys play, right? But you got to play in 6. It's their way of we've got our work on. Yeah,
I don't blame the DP World Tour though. If these guys are going to come over, you want to sell tickets based on that star power. So I don't blame the DP Tour for this. Now
I don't either.
If this is something that broaches the spirit of a prior existing contract or agreement, then that probably is a little bit foul. So
I don't blame them to an extent, but then does it hurt again if they don't allow the guys to play in that one event prior to the Open that historically has done well?
Yeah.
Because so many of the PGA guys are coming over, are they shooting themselves in the foot? I guess though.
Yeah.
A double-edged sword.
We'll talk about that in the future a little more. All right. Thanks to Brett Friedlander for being on with us today. Pilk will be in hosting tomorrow. Back on Thursday, and at 5 o'clock from Minji's Coliseum Thursday, our special guest, ECU Director of Athletics, John Gilbert. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.